Good morning. It is about 0600. Uh, so been up for a little bit, back to kind of normal schedule on that, which is nice. Uh, yeah, recently started doing the sacrilege. I've got a coffee cooker as coffee burner, as I like to say, those little coffee mug heaters, the desktop things to keep your coffee warm, which I like hot coffee. I like my coffee really hot. Um, but it tends to oxidize. It tends to overcook the coffee and oxidize it. I use a drip coffee maker because I am on septic. I used to use a French press, but the grounds, can be a problem. You can't put them in septic. Um, but uh, my drip coffee maker doesn't even have a heater. It's just got a insulated carafe, which works really well. Actually, it's one of the ninjas. Um, it's and it's designed specifically to not cook. So I'm overcooking my coffee. I do have a mug, a glass mug, a Pyrex borosilicate mug with a little wooden top you can put on it, and that seems to help with the oxidizing. Just not that much headroom. Uh, I don't know. That may be a bit of optimistic thinking that that's actually helping. Uh, I know I'm doing wrong by cooking my coffee, but um, I just like it hot. Uh, and I like to kind of, drink it throughout my day, throughout my time, at least up until noon or so. But sometimes I make um, make the noon or the afternoon pot. I used to was working in environments, software environments where, uh, yeah, you just drink coffee all day. But then again, all day was 24-hour development. I mean, the development cycles were just nuts. Uh, so I don't do that anymore, which is nice. Still, it's kind of pushed the technology forward and then hand it off to the next generation. But so that's me digressing. Uh, so the coffee, um, at least it's hot and plentiful and caffeinated, which seems to work for me. I use flax milk in it. I seem to have, I think it's a slight allergy, makes me cough. Um, it's not nat lactose intolerance, which is the milk sugar, which is I don't even I don't even know if you could have an allergy to that or not. It's mainly it's a protein is going to cause an allergy, I believe. Definitely talk to a um, maybe a rheumatologist about that. Uh, because I do have the inflammation issues, so I do watch that. But I think it's the A1 protein because I can um, goat and sheep milk don't tend to cause me problems, and those tend to be A2. But I like the flax milk. Um, it's far lower in calories than most of the milks, and I find it the milkiest of the non-milks with without other flavors in it. That just tend to express. So it's a nice neutral little thing, and I just like a little splash in there. I'll drink my coffee black too. If I'm doing trying to do home espressos or a stronger cup, not just a kind of swilling cup. I think you have to get in. One has to get into pretty high-end espresso machines before it becomes something real. The Aeropress, of all things, I think makes a good a good cup of and a good espresso, which really means a buddy who used to run a coffee shop's like espresso to press. Um, yeah, so there's that. Uh, Things I'll do today besides the as they might be giants used to put it, what is it? Memo to myself: do the dumb things I've got to do. Touch the puppet head. Besides that, I guess my enrichments today. I'll get back to singing, vocal work, which is interesting for me because I really hate my voice. I really I think like so many of us. I really hate my speaking voice, and my singing voice is even worse. Um, But I will say, in the short time I've been doing it, I just started that as an enrichment, kind of as a lark. Uh, I had access to the programming already, so it was a zero cost um, endeavor. But I will say it has improved me, like my pitch stability and things, and those kinds of things. It has improved in the short time I've been doing it because of the lesson structure. I suspect, I don't have a true knowledge base to speak from, but from my personal experience, short personal experience with it, uh, I, I suspect people are making small fundamental mistakes. They can be corrected relatively, if not quickly, relatively clearly, and I think there can be improvements relatively quickly. Um, I'm not saying you become good, one becomes good in that time, but uh, the suck gets, I think, diminished relatively rapidly. So I just think that there's some basic mistakes people in their mechanic and their singing mechanics people make, people being me, that I make, that um, really holds you back. So if nothing else, it's been kind of a personal enrichment in that. And there's some physical habit. It's a little bit like going to speech therapy. Um, to correct some things. And it's tough because it's something we do speaking, and singing, just as a modified speech, I suppose. We do it so often, that and our bad habits get cemented. What's the old thing? Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. Um, so I think there's something to be said for that. And an interesting thing with um, the singing is I find small chunks more often if I can do it a couple, 3 times a day. And the coaching says to look into that. I asked about that. Um, kind of whatever your instrument can handle, they consider the voice your instrument, and they phrase it that way. I think it may depersonalize it a little bit in a good way. What I mean is it removes you from it a little bit in terms of the endeavor. So if your singing is bad or it's more like your piano playing or your guitar playing is bad. It's not you are bad, as a whole entity, because our voice is a part of our identity. Um, but they mention it's like it's whatever what your instrument can handle. So I think especially at the beginning, maybe people can do it later on, but small chunks and warm up and let the voice rest. It's very physical. It's a very physical, you're in your body process. It reminds me a little bit of my friend teaching me a little trumpet. And one thing is, you had to put it down because you don't want to blow your chops. Your the choppers, tugging your lips, your embouchure. Um, those can get, especially at the beginning, tired very quickly, and it's a very physical thing. I find with other instruments that maybe aren't quite, just resonating your head like that with your lip meat. Uh, you're using your fingers and your hands. You can practice. They can certainly tire, but I think that those muscles are used to being moved um, and over, a significant period of time. So you do learn to or you can practice for a longer period of time, kind of out of the gate, or you can press it a little further without blowing yourself up. So I left my headset on all night. I just got the battery low from the nice computer voice. It's funny how in the past few years that chips have gotten so inexpensive. The recording, chips have gotten, and the memory, that kind of small memory, has gotten so cheap that in a little consumer product, instead of having beeps like we did just, I want to say, 7 to 10 years ago, uh, maybe even more recent, you'd have to have beep beeps or something of that nature. Now they just have uh, a voice warning. Of course, they seem to default. I don't know if you can change it on this little consumer headset. It was very inexpensive. It was actually a review copy. Uh, there's I used to work in L10N and I-18 and internationalization and localization. And, it's funny because it seems to have defaulted to English, and I don't know how to change it. Not that I necessarily have to, but accessibility for other languages. Something I used to have with error codes, error messages on in computer systems where with localization we had that you'd have to um, localize the error, but I still, and not just for that, but I would still like it. Give me an error code number and the description. You know, because then you can get more detailed information. If you might have two errors that look similar, have different numeric codes in the exception handler, but have similar descriptions. That way you can keep them unique. Or if you're reading a localized copy of something, which has happened to me before, where I can navigate the software, but I can't read the text. And then, I'm troubleshooting it for somebody who's not an English speaker. I've had that happen where, I need the error code. I can figure it out because I can navigate this thing without the language because I've, used this piece of software. Um, but I need to know what that error code actually is. Yeah. Excuse me. Wow. But that was a little journey into nowhere. Uh, Funny though, my I speak of that, but my coffee cooker is stuck in Celsius, and I've wrote the company, and they told me a button press that didn't work, and I think they offered me $4 off a new unit or something. Um, it's which is funny though. I'm used to the other measures, mass and lengths and stuff. I work in metric just fine, but I will say temperature is one that just for some reason does not stick in my head very well. And I've tried a couple of different things, and you try to, excuse me, memorize your, the basics, body temperature at 37, and you're freezing and you're boiling, uh, and you try to figure out a couple of uh, keystone temperatures you can kind of interpolate from, but it hasn't stuck. So I don't know. So I just use the coffee maker, and just the bigger number makes it hotter. uh, yeah. So that's what today's looking like. I'll try the singing because it's good for me. I have done the thing though; it's these video lessons, and so you watch the video lessons, and of course the singing teacher. It's like they seem like they're all kindergarten teachers. You're doing great, and it's just a recording, which makes me really laugh because no, I'm not. Sometimes I yell at the recorded teacher, because I'm in mic and headphone. Oh, and I have plugged in a music tuner, an instrument tuner, so I can watch my instrument, my voice, and track the. It's a Peterson, so I can track the. It's a strobe tuner, which is what I'm used to because maybe of my age. I remember the actual mechanical strobe tuners we used to use. Um, but and I'm used to that spinning wheel. And I like that it shows the octave in the note. It just because I can jump octaves and sing octaves, and I can find where I'm cracking and that kind of thing. That seems to be helpful. I try not to use it too much, but it does show me certain techniques how it does stabilize my pitch. Um, but I've done the horrible thing of taking my medicine, and I use OBS Studio to record my performance in the video lesson so I can review that and take a listen to it while I'm not actively singing. It's a bitter pill to swallow, I think, at the beginning, especially the timbre. But my tone, or my, excuse me, my pitch was better than I thought. Not saying it's good, but uh, I have been, I've had a lifetime of being just not being able to carry a tune in a bucket off. Uh, the kind of classic singing flat, maybe singing other notes sharp. Uh, but yeah, so that's going to be an interesting journey. I don't expect, I expect improvement, but I don't expect to be good at all. Uh, but it would be nice. It's such an integrated part of, our bodies. And here I am talking. So it might be nice to not hate my voice. That would be kind of okay. So we'll continue with that. I'll probably practice piano or my handwriting. Need to get back to the handwriting. I'll tell the tale of that at some point. Um, and that's what my day is going to be in terms of the enrichment. The chores are just the mundane chores. So there's really no point in mentioning those right now. I don't hate them. I'm not miserable from that. It's just part of life. It's part of what you do. And, while each individual task might not be um, super entertainingly fun, they're rewarding in the life improvement and the having the quiet discipline. And it doesn't to do them. It doesn't even feel like discipline, like a um, you know BDSM. I mean, it just doesn't discipline like this grim um, slog, and that you just have to stoically put up with the pain, which is, I think, from other points in my life when I've had to do things. Uh, it's not like that, that when you have to get to the discipline, we just have to get it done. What they say, embrace the suck. Um, I think that there's a certain point of embracing it, and that it doesn't suck. It's just and it's not miserable, and it's like there's at times would you rather, if you could just magically hire, wave a wand or hire somebody, would you magically just want to be completely released from that? It's like I'm not entirely sure I would. Uh, there's a certain value in just living that part of life and doing your logistical life functions that is okay. You know, um, and there's a sort of I treat it almost as a walking meditation. These things that I have to do, or I would like to do that more because I could use a little more focus in that. And maybe I'll look at that in terms of quietly doing it well, being it just cleaning up something like cleaning up my desk or what have you, um, or answering the emails and these sorts of things. Um, yeah, I'm going to try to approach that better. Maybe the enrichment, that can be one of the things with these enrichment processes. There's the individual skill or, you know, um, progress you get in whatever, you know, um, thing you're learning or thing you're working with. But I think there's, also you get a different outlook, a different you develop a different outlook or philosophy and um, behavior habits that extend well beyond the activity. And I suppose that's why it's enrichment, because it it enriches one's whole life. Um, yeah. So maybe this singing, taking my medicine and listening to me, and even being braced for impact on that, and then feeling like maybe it's not that bad. That's helping me with the comfort of the voice. I'm still hemming and hawing, but I'm hoping to do a little bit better. And perhaps it was um, doing horrible rambles that spurred me to the vocal thing because of the speaking aspect of it. But now here, I'm kind of self-discovering that maybe that's helping me with just having the quiet discipline and centered calm to uh, do other things in my life uh, well, and do them appropriately and adequately and mindfully. So I guess it's mindfulness practice. is the word we're probably looking for. The me, the collective me, the collectively singular me, we me, because I am certainly not a royal. Um, so there's that. Yeah, well, I'm going to get on with my day as I'm sure you have to as well, but thanks for listening.